3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. I would love it if you would just take 30 seconds to download from the App Store or the Google Play Store our brand new Caffeine for the Soul app, and then you'll be able to actually listen to the rest of today's episode on the app. It's kind of cool. I was leading one of our mastermind groups that I call the Living from Mind Mastermind. And everyone was kind of going around and sharing what they were seeing new and fresh, what was making a noticeable impact in their life. And one woman in the group shared a story that she had been talking with somebody who was part of the recovery community, the addiction recovery community. And he'd shared a story about how when he really had to confront his addictions, he realized that he had to make a choice between, saving face or saving his ass. And she said that when she heard the story, she immediately kind of resonated with being in that position where, it's a little bit embarrassing to have to explain to people why you can't do this and why you're not doing this and but that sort of doing things that are harmful to you to save face, might well cost you your ass. And she said for her, she saw the distinction more as being about, saving your life versus saving face. And in order to understand why that impacted me so much, you need to know a little bit about what happened to me in the second part of 2022. Now, some of you may have come across this because I've written about it. But in the second half of 22, I almost died twice. I had 2 literal near-death experiences, but not the fun kind. Like, I don't know if they're fun, but like when I'd heard about near-death experiences in the past, they sound amazing. You go down a tunnel and you see a white light and God or an angel comes and goes through your life with you and tells you why it's not your time yet. And you meet dead relatives and then you go back and you live your life. I didn't have any of that. In fact, both times I found out that I'd almost died when I was back. And it was from an infection, and I had sepsis, and long story. The end of the story is a happy end, which is that everything's working as it should. All my organs have returned to full functioning, and I am very, very physically well. However, the recovery period for this went on for months, and it entailed my making some business decisions that I would never have made in the past because they were decisions to not do business that would have been very meaningful and profitable to me and to my company. And it also involved reneging on commitments that, while I kind of knew people would understand, it was embarrassing to me to not be able to follow through and to not keep my word. And it was tempting to try and save face. But I realized that the choice that I was really facing was, do I save face or do I save my life? What was an even harder choice to make was one of the holidays that for the last 28 years, so since my firstborn was born, we have gotten together, all the families, all the kids' families and grandma. We have gotten together for Thanksgiving. And this particular year was a particularly poignant one because we kind of knew that this might be grandma's last Thanksgiving. And I just knew that if I traveled, if I flew, if I went through that, I was still in a pretty fragile state. And even though I was okay, it was going to cost me, and it might set me back for months. And that was a really difficult decision to not be part of that. And in fact, my mom, their grandma, did actually die on Thanksgiving Day, and it was fine, and we'd had our farewell hugs, and she got to spend more time with the grandkids. And it was again this case where I made the choice to save my life instead of saving face. Well, at New Year's this year, my wife and I were talking about resolutions, and we're not big resolution people, but she asked if I had any New Year's resolutions, and I said, yeah, I'm going to give up stress. And she said, oh, how are you going to do that? And I said, actually, it's not going to be that difficult, because when my life was genuinely on the line, I absolutely knew what things would be too much, because in that state, physically, even a little bit of stress was too much for me. It would shut me down. And I said, and I've realized even now that my body is recovered, I haven't lost the ability to notice. I can still tell which things are going to, up my stress levels because of the thinking that I've got about them and how much I'm going to be thinking about them. And I don't need the excuse of saving my life in order to do what I know is good for my body and nourishing for my soul. There is a certain kind of ease and grace that I have been fortunate enough to taste many times throughout my life. But until my experiences of the last year, I didn't really think that I could have them all the time. Because, there's a certain number of things you've just got to do if you make commitments in the world. And it just looks differently to me now. It looks to me like there is no commitment I could make in the world that's worth destroying myself for. Now, that may change, and that may sound unduly dramatic, but that's why I wanted to share this with you. Not so you do what I do, but so you can see what you see. Where in your life are you doing things to save face, doing things that you wouldn't otherwise do, doing things you don't want to do, doing things you know not to do? Because it would be embarrassing if other people found out that you stopped doing them, or vice versa. Where are there things that you know to do that you're not doing because if anybody found out it would be embarrassing? Even though you know at some level it's, if not killing you, it's dragging you down. And what would it be like if you made the choice day by day, moment by moment, if it ever comes down to a case of saving your ass or saving face, of saving your life or saving face, of living with ease and grace or saving face? You made the choice for ease, for grace, and for life. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.